Howdy guys, and welcome back to the Form First podcast. You are joined today by your hosts, Sam and Ben. We are also joined by a very special guest, Kat, with Coached by Kat. She is a personal trainer here at Form First, and we're really excited to have her on. This is the first time she's been with us on the podcast for episode 11. And Kat, did you want to give us a quick introduction about yourself, what you do?
Yeah, sure. So I have been in the fitness industry for almost 10 years now, working with both coaching and nutrition coaching. In terms of my own training, I've sort of dabbled between bodybuilding, powerlifting, and pole. And a lot of my clients work within that space as well in terms of whether it's pole, whether it's wanting to get really, really strong, or whether they're chasing aesthetic goals.
Yeah, love that. And something that I know about your business, Kat, is you preach a lot of minimum effective dose around training and nutrition and supplementation. Can you tell us a little bit more about what that means to you and your clients?
Yeah, definitely. So one thing that I found working in the industry as long as I have is that a lot of people tend to go balls to the wall.
Yep.
There is either 0 or there is 100. There's nothing else in between. And they sort of come at it when it's going to be, I'm going to overhaul my whole life. I'm going to be training 5 days a week. I'm going to take up running. I'm going to overhaul my diet. I'm going to, drink 3 liters of water a day, all the things. And it normally works for about 2 or so weeks. And then you stop getting the dopamine response and things start to drop off, and then life gets busy and things drop off a little bit more. And then there's in this constant cycle of, I can't stick to things. And then they have this little shame spiral of, I'll get back on track eventually. And then time passes and then they get to a point where they're like, I'm worse off now than when I first started. And then they jump back onto something where it's, I'm going to overhaul my life again.
Yeah. Yeah.
So a lot of the time I tend to get my clients to start by making small changes. And it's a layered approach that I've found really works. And when you look at the neuroscience behind behavior change, people will have resistance around building habits that are different to the habits they already have.
Yep.
The brain just wants to keep you safe, and the brain knows that what you are currently doing has been decided as safe.
Yep.
So by slowly building in habits bit by bit, you get a lot less resistance from the brain, and then you can build those things up. And it also means, telling someone, can you commit to 2 days a week in the gym? That doesn't feel so huge. Most people can find 2 hours within their week that they can fit in something like that. Whereas if you go, okay, we're going to start with 5 days a week in the gym, you're going to do an additional 5 hours of cardio outside of that, we're going to add in this, and this. It feels like a lot. And a lot of the time people sort of start out being like, yeah, this sounds great, and then shut down.
For you as a coach, how do you handle a client that comes in and, you offer, let's say, the minimum effective dose to start off with, and they're like, nah, I want to train 6 days a week, that type of stuff. How do you handle that?
That happens a lot. I think I have a lot of overachievers, and they've got that mentality of like, I've got to do all the things because that's, more is more, and it's going to get me better results. It honestly depends on the client, but a lot of the time I've sort of had to throw in suggestions and then let them come to that conclusion themselves.
Okay.
So, for example, I'll give one with a client that came in with very restricted calories. So when she started training with me, she was eating 800 calories a day.
That's mad.
And the idea of going, okay, we're going to completely overhaul your food felt huge to her.
Yeah.
And she was sort of like, oh my God, like if we do that, like I'm going to gain weight straight away. So I said, okay, we'll start with one small thing. Before you come to training, we're going to eat something. I don't care what it is. It can be a rice cake. It can be a banana. Like just
some.
Come to training fueled.
Yep.
And she started doing that, and she started pushing harder in sessions because she was training fueled. And then from there, she started noticing aesthetic results because she's pushing harder in sessions. And then she was like, oh, do you think we can maybe like increase my food a little bit more? Like it feels
Getting
safe
hungrier.
to do so.
Yeah. As well.
So sometimes it's a matter of, giving a little and then waiting until that client is comfortable and they're the one suggesting pushing it a little bit further.
Yep.
Other times it's just having that discussion and sort of saying, I mean, you know, from a recovery point of view, all the things that you're doing, you're not recovering properly from, and then you're coming into the session and you're not being able to give it your all because you're not training in a recovered state.
Yeah.
So
not feeding themselves adequately to recover as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it really depends sort of client to client and where their headspace is at. Sometimes it's literally just taking the smallest step off and slowly reducing things bit by bit. Other people, it's slowly increasing.
Yeah, it's a great example. Like food is probably everyone's struggle right when they start. It's the same with my client. He'll skip breakfast all the time, and I'd say Sammy's gone through that. I don't know, a handful of times.
Yeah, you get that all the time. But yeah, I think you know, you gradually need to ease your clients into it. You know, you're not going to start a client on a 50% deficit, or you're not going to start them on a 150% surplus. You know, you gradually decrease and increase that over time until their body adapts, right?
Yeah, and I found sometimes with like female clients in particular, sometimes it's just a matter of just eating, and that's the first step. Like we're not going into macros and micros and things like that. Sometimes it's let's just start with eating throughout the day, and that feels huge enough for so many people.
Yeah. Kat, you mainly train females?
Yes.
Yep. You got some male clients as well in there, but mainly females.
Yep.
A big misconception is that, you know, males and females should train differently, and maybe there is some light in, you know, different exercises that males and females should do, but that comes down to mainly what people want. You know, most guys probably don't want a nice juicy glute pump, you know, maybe Ben. But
it looks good.
What is your opinion on the way that males and females should train?
Okay, so I feel like the industry is very black and white on this. Like they're like, women should train different to men, or like there's no differences and we should train. I think there's very much a grey area. So, you know, if you look at the research around the ability to build muscle, males and females in terms of like relative muscle mass respond to weight training the same way. We can build muscle, we develop better bone density, all those beautiful things that come from weight training. So in that sense, yes, women should train like men. We should get in the gym, we should be lifting heavy. We only benefit from lifting heavy. And in fact, when you look at what our hormones do throughout our cycle, and when you go into perimenopause and menopause, and we've got that drop in estrogen, there's even more reason for women to be weight training. We see a drop in bone density, we see a drop in muscle mass relative to our drop in estrogen. So it's even more important for women to weight train. But then you've got the flip side of, because our hormones fluctuate so much throughout our cycle, it does impact different things. For example, when in the first half of our cycle, we are more insulin sensitive. So higher carbohydrates in that first part of our cycle is generally better received by the body. And then in the second half of our cycle, higher fats are utilized more easily. So things like that will play into how we're training, how we're eating, fueling ourselves, things like that. And then obviously, you know, when you're looking at the anatomy and physiology side of things. So super common one I see, women typically have smaller, rounder rib cages, which means that to have our scapulars or shoulder blades glide comfortably across our rib cages, in lateral raises, women will typically find it more comfortable to bring the arm in slightly compared to out in line with the shoulder. So there's little things like that that can alter your training, but again, it's like a case by case. You know, 5 years ago, there was the big, how you should be training around your cycle.
Yeah.
And, you know, during this phase, you should only do yoga and Pilates and be gentle.
Oh,
and
right.
And then in this phase, that's all good to be lifting and you should try and PR all your lifts in. But realistically, there's so many other factors that come into it. You know, if you at like peak of your cycle, heavy lifting, but you've had a shit sleep, you're highly stressed, you're probably going to come into that session not feeling so great.
Yeah.
So as much as it's like, okay, the science and the research is a factor, we're dealing with people, not robots. So it's sort of taking in to account those individual factors that play into your programming and all of that as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Well said. Yeah. I think that I found that because I work with a lot of female
Yes.
clients as well. And there's that blanket statement of, you should be, stronger during this part of your cycle, weaker during this part. And I think that just puts this misconception in people's mind that, oh yeah, I'm going into the gym, I'm this part of my cycle, and it's like, I should be weaker. So yeah, I'm going to be weaker.
Yeah.
But then I found some of my clients come in and they're in that phase of their cycle where they should be weaker, and then they hit a PR. And it's like
100%.
So, I think it's individual specific. Some people have really rough cycles and, you will learn your body and how it responds and take note of that throughout your cycle. But then some people, you can just keep training as per with literally almost no strength loss at all, which is great.
Yeah. And
sorry, you go.
I was going to say, if you're taking into account like that idea of during this week, you should, only train strength.
Yeah.
Then you're leaving gains on the table realistically. Like if you're just doing gentle workouts 3 weeks out of 4, because that's what, your cycle says, but you feel good lifting, like why wouldn't you?
Yep. So you're saying be a bit more intuitive.
Yeah.
Pay attention to what your body's telling you, what your brain's telling you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Things like that.
I've had clients come in and they're like, I don't know why I'm feeling so weak today. Like, my warm-up weight feels heavy. Everything feels shit. And I'll be like, where are you in your cycle? And they go, oh, my period's due. And I'm like,
it's like burning calories like crazy.
Yeah. I'm like, was this the same as like we saw this pattern last month as well and the month before? So it's sort of, I wouldn't say, okay, you find your weakest 2 days before you bleed, so don't train.
Yep.
But what I would say is I found a lot of clients when they start to pick up on those patterns, they're a lot more compassionate around those days where they come in and a session feels shit.
Yep. Okay.
Yep. So you'd say like to clients, it's still good to get movement in, whether that's a light session, deload session, or maybe it's just going for a walk or doing 100%. Some Pilates.
And I think, just being in tune of where you're at with your body, like you said, especially with clients with PCOS, endo, things like that, if they're having a flare, maybe a walk is, all that they're feeling up to.
Yep.
But getting up and moving can potentially help with sort of flare-ups and pain as well.
Yeah.
We've covered a bit of this, but I guess this sort of ties into training around your cycle.
Yep.
And you'd obviously get a lot of questions and a lot of newer clients or established clients coming in, seeing something on the internet about what they shouldn't be doing. Is there any sort of recent experience or notable one that you remember and sort of how you worked around that, like an example of a situation and how you were able to deal with that?
In terms of someone
of training around a cycle and someone coming into you being like, I feel like this, or
I think the main one is that like drop in strength. When I've had clients that have, week on week, they see strength going up, and then they're like, everything feels so heavy right now.
Yeah.
Or even just in terms of like feeling fatigued a lot quicker.
Yeah.
Is another one that tends to be a repeat. And then like a few days later, they're like, oh, I know why now.
Yeah. Do they find it difficult to regress and deload when
I think initially some do.
Yep.
But I think, the more that people start to become, I guess, aware of where their body's at and realizing that like you are going to have some sessions that do feel weaker. And that's fine because you're also going to have some sessions where you come in and everything just like flies.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nutrition plays such a massive role on hormones, right?
Oh, yeah.
Massive.
Cravings. I've heard about cravings ever since I had a partner.
Yep.
Yeah. Like not even around your cycle, but just in general, right? So are there any protocols that you put in place with your clients to keep a healthy hormone balance?
One is not cutting fats too low. So that's a huge one. I think a lot of people when they start dieting, and it's funny because like a lot of people when they start dieting, the first things that they'll cut are fats and carbs.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, we do want to keep protein high, but especially with female clients, we don't really want to dip fats too low. So 75 grams is ideally what I don't want to drop below. There are circumstances where you will drop below the ideal or have a client that sits outside the norm.
Mm.
And then same with carbohydrates. Like carbohydrates are required. A lot of people just think that, carbohydrates are great for energy, but they serve a lot of other roles.
Big time.
Even in terms of like you need a certain amount of carbohydrates to ovulate.
Yep.
So yeah, things like that. It's just being aware of not taking things too low too fast. And in terms of, I guess, dropping female clients into a deficit as well, like our body responds a lot differently. In terms of, I think we had this conversation recently around leptin dropping a lot quicker in females when they start dieting compared to men. So cravings tend to be a lot more intense and, we tend to have a lot more extreme responses to dieting a lot faster. So whereas with the male client, you could potentially drop the calories a lot more aggressively.
Yeah.
Females will have a lot more sort of hormonal responses to that.
Yeah. Typically, I like to keep female clients around 30% from their overall calories towards fats, and then males like 20, 25%.
Yeah.
Which, like, when you put that into perspective of like a male's probably going to diet anywhere from 1,800 to probably 2,400. Female's going to diet from probably 1,400 to 1,600, 1,800 calories. So you work at that percentage wise, it's like, it's quite a big difference.
And it's wild, like when you start looking at sort of getting micronutrients in and stuff, like people don't realize that women are typically in smaller bodies. We're going to have our calorie deficit is going to be a lot lower, but then that's also going to give us a much smaller window to put in all the micronutrients that we need and things like that.
Yeah.
So I guess it's just a bit more nuanced when working with female clients.
To be fair, the first time you mentioned leptin to me, I was like, who is he and what does he want?
What is he
I
called?
was like, what is a leptin?
Maybe for the viewers, do you want to tell what leptin is?
Leptin and what's the other one?
Ghrelin. So leptin and ghrelin are the hormones that control like hunger and feelings of satiety. So basically telling us when we're full, telling us when we're hungry. They do a bunch of other things outside of that, but that's the main sort of like TLDR around it.
Yeah, well said.
My leptin goes crazy when I get on the beers.
Well,
we've spoken about that.
We have spoken
well.
about that. Leptin and ghrelin, your hunger hormones, when you drink alcohol, they go out of whack.
Yep.
So, that's why when you drink, you can just keep eating, and people do keep eating. And it's like, yes, you've got the calories from alcohol, but it's also the calories from
delicious
KFC and the pizza and
wait till the Christmas party, mate. You're going to have to stop me.
Yeah,
you're going to have to hold me back from the doors of H shows. Yeah. Another, I guess, a question for myself. I feel like what a lot of, not only females, but just for this instance, females would find the word fat and fats quite confronting. And they're like, I know a lot of people are like, I used to think this, that if I have fats like olive oil and butter, then that is fat coming into my body. So I guess, is there anyone that's come into you with that type of thing? They're scared of having fats.
And I think we tend to see a cycle throughout like the fitness industry where like different things are demonized. So like, there was that phase where everything is like, oh no, like sugar, bad, terrible. And then it's like fats, terrible, carbs, like it just cycles around, it trends. I think people are starting to get a bit more aware. But there's still, I guess, a bit of fear around food in general. But a lot of people like fats. But when you spin it the other way and you start saying, okay, like we're looking at healthy hormones, we're looking at healthy hair, healthy skin, like if you're saying someone like, who doesn't want healthy glowing skin?
That's a great point.
So it's sort of, I guess, highlighting, and it's like that with carbs as well, where you're sort of highlighting what it actually does in the body.
Bit of reverse psychology in a way, like scaring people out of thinking that it's going to be
scaring them into eating
scaring them into having good skin.
Yeah,
I love that.
And before you go and grab a handful of almonds and cashews, just be aware that fats are 9 calories per gram and your protein and carbs are 4 calories per gram. So they are the most
They are
calorie
dense.
dense
Yeah.
of them all. So make sure that, yes, you are consuming a lot of healthy fats, but they are the most calorie dense as well. So
Yeah.
just be wary of that.
And I think as well, like people need to differentiate between things like avocado, nuts, olive oil,
Yeah.
and deep fried chicken.
Yes.
Like
yeah.
how that reacts in the body. Sorry.
Leptin's going crazy right now.
So, you know, how that reacts in the body is two different ways.
Correct.
Like you're not going to get healthy glowing skin and nice hair from KFC every day.
Yeah. Kat, how many years have you been in the fitness industry for now?
So just shy of 10 in terms of coaching. And then prior to that, I was working reception / admin at a gym.
So you could say that you're a veteran.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Veteran of the game.
You've been in multiple different gyms,
Yes.
big box gyms, now Form First
Yep.
as a trainer. How have you seen the fitness industry evolve over the years from a gym perspective and also a coaching perspective?
Oof. I think coaching is a lot bigger now than what it was. It's definitely grown. And I think it's now seen, I think people see there's a deeper side to it, not just a bunch of gym bros flexing kind of thing. I remember very early on in my career, I had a consult with a lady, and partway through, we're doing a bit of a like screening. And partway through, she stopped and she's like, "What's your background, like education wise?" And I told her, and she's like, "Huh, that makes sense that you're university educated. You don't seem like a normal PT." And I was just like, "Sorry, what?" There was just that real attitude of like, "I'm just here to lift the heavy weights."
Yeah.
Like, whereas I think now people realize that it goes a lot more like deep than just being like, "All right, I'm just here to count your reps."
Yep.
So I think that's a huge one. I think in terms of women within the space, that's seen a huge shift, both in terms of coaching. I think there's more female coaches, or visibly, whereas before it was very much, you know, "Oh, you lift heavy for a girl."
Yeah.
I think that started to shift, and now everyone's like, "Hell yes, muscle mummies!" Like people were wanting to see.
Let's go.
Yeah, like I remember when I worked admin at this gym, not this gym, but a previous gym, and we had a new manager start, and he was getting us to do gym tours to show him how we'd take a potential client through. And we did our tour, and we finished up, and he went to give feedback, and he's like, "Oh, so, you know, like if you were actually giving a tour to a female client, I wouldn't even bother showing them the weight section. Like women just want to do cardio and classes." I was just like, "What do you mean?" And he's like, "Oh, you know, like really emphasize the classes that we offer, because women are going to do group fitness classes. They're not going to lift weights." But I think there's been that real shift in perception of like, you know, I think now if you sort of said, "Oh no, we're not, someone's signing up here, just show them the treadmill," like it wouldn't go down well. I don't think it did back then, but I think there's less acceptance of it now.
How long ago was this?
This would have been over 10 years ago.
Oh, right, when you sort of started.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Far out.
Yeah. Yeah. There's been a huge shift. I mean, we have more female trainers here at Form First than we do males.
Yeah.
So
And
that,
like significantly more, not just teetering over the edge. Yeah.
yeah, way outnumbered.
Yeah, I think like as well, just in general, the amount of females working out in the gym.
Yeah.
Like I think it's such a great shift probably over the past couple of years. I'd say almost sort of a post-COVID thing, where there's just so much more confidence for girls and safety for them to walk in where they're not worried about, you know, a second pair of eyes, that type of thing.
Yep.
And that shift has been really great to see.
Oh,
like I'd say even the clientele that come in here is almost a 50-50, if not tipping into mostly females coming in. So it's great. It's such a good energy as well, to be honest.
And I think there's something like when women realize how strong they're capable of being, like a lot of women don't realize how strong they are.
Oh, yeah.
And then when they start lifting weights, like it transfers into all areas of life.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that confidence builds in all areas of life. It's not just in a gym space.
Yeah. Big time. I think there'll still always be people that just want to get skinny.
Yep.
But I think there's been a big shift where people want to get that more lean toned, athletic look, have muscle,
Strong.
want to be strong, want to feel strong.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's
100%.
great.
They only thank themselves as the years go, like you said earlier.
Yeah.
It's major.
And even if
Yeah.
you take like the aesthetics out of it completely, just from a like longevity point of view, I heard stats recently around it's something like just under 20% of women over 50 end up with a hip fracture.
Yeah.
And then you look at like decreasing quality of life after that. And like so much of that is avoidable by getting strong in your earlier years.
Yeah. And that
So-
balance is
Yeah.
balance is a killer. That's all like older people like over 50 or 60, however old, breaking wrists, hips, like you said, knees, all that type of see it all the time. Like I work at a physio clinic.
Yeah.
And there's, oh my God, almost every day someone with that type of thing where they've just stepped down from, the car
Yeah.
and tripped over whatever it is. So yeah, absolutely.
Mm, yep. And you've been in a lot of gyms, like working behind the desk, but also as a coach yourself. How have you seen the gyms evolve over the years in the direction that they're heading now?
I think people are looking more to a community within the gym space. So, obviously you had community in classes and things like that, but now there's this shift towards getting strong. So little boutique spaces are becoming a lot more popular. You're seeing the big box gyms where people are going through and they're just a number.
Yeah.
That's starting to drop off. The big box gyms that are still doing well are the ones that still have some sort of semblance of community there.
Yeah.
I think there's, again, that shift. You see things that are constantly trending at the moment. Pilates and running are very popular at the moment.
Huge.
And again, you see it as a cycle. And often that will reflect the aesthetics that are also trending in society at the time. So, you see those pop up in gyms. You've seen, I think, Good Life, Revo, Riderwear have all popped up with reformers.
Yeah.
And having little set up reformer Pilates situation. But yeah, I think there's that real shift again towards strength being a lot more popular, whether it is, people weight training for bodybuilding and aesthetics and body transformation, whether it's people going into things like powerlifting and just wanting to get really, really strong. I think there's, a lot more focus now on longevity, on moving well, on being able to transfer. I know you spoke with Chloe last week about training to transfer those skills into other hobbies and things like that.
Train for your hobbies, yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Whereas I think in the past that wasn't quite as big as it is now.
Yep.
Yeah, I think movement for me is massive with my massage and stuff. That's my only goal, is to give people the confidence to move so that they can rehab or do whatever they need to do in the gym, for instance. One thing I've really noticed heaps recently for some reason, it's just people going out for a walk.
Yeah.
I think it used to be you go out and walk your dog, your cat, whatever you've got, and that was the only time someone would go for a walk because you need to walk your animal. But the thing I've noticed recently is people just out for a walk.
Yeah.
Just going and like trying to hit their steps for a day probably is what I assume.
Yeah.
But the amount of people now, like just the boom in education from social media. Social media does have some good things about it. But yeah, people just realizing how much of a difference that can make. Getting out and moving and just like
even from a mental
your
health
mood,
perspective.
your mood, and the sun's out today is bloody in Adelaide, 23 and sunny. Beautiful. Go out for a walk. Sun's out, guns out. So it's been really good to see.
Yeah, I'll often jump on a consult with a client that maybe they've never stepped foot in a gym before, and I always ask them like, how many steps are you doing?
Yeah.
And 9 times out of 10, they're tracking their steps.
Yeah.
They've got
Already.
they're already tracking it, and they're like, oh, I hit 10,000 steps. That's like a non-negotiable for me. I'm like,
awesome.
Good for you.
And
That's awesome.
it tickles the brain as well because you've got this little goal of like that you can tick off every day.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't wear one anymore, but I used to wear an Apple Watch, and they used to have
Mine's at
like
home.
close your rings
Yeah.
type thing on them.
Oh, no.
I don't know if
The ring is
they're
my
still do
It's
that.
my arch nemesis.
Yeah, and like my wife and I, which is not like a fair comparison because my wife is a graphic designer that sits behind a desk, and I am on the gym floor all day.
Moving
So
around.
like I close my rings at like 10 a.m. and she's still hustling away. But it was like
Does it give you this feeling of superiority?
yeah,
It's
of
like-
course. Yeah, but it's like a thing. It's like before you go to bed, we have to close the rings. Like so,
Oh,
it's
nice.
it's a competitive thing as well.
Yeah.
Like people love to do it as a habit.
And it's a nice social thing as well. Like just grabbing a coffee, going for a walk down the beach or
Oh,
whatever.
stop.
Like
Yeah.
it's the new Sunday session.
Yeah. Indy didn't know what she was getting into, bringing me on the hot girl walks. It's turned into
In
a
your
hot boy
crop
walk.
top and
Oh
the bum
yeah,
bag.
yeah. You wouldn't want to see me in a crop top.
Something that has evolved a fair bit over the years has been gastric band surgery
Yes.
for weight loss. I know that you might have had some clients. I've had some
Yep.
clients have the surgery done before. What are your thoughts on the surgery? Is it something that you would recommend people do, or and the complications that come with that as well?
Yep. So I feel like all my answers like it's a grey area.
Yeah.
But again, I think it's something that is very like demonized on social media a lot of the time. Like it's very that black or white, like, oh, like it's the easy way, or it's, and it does get slammed a lot. I think it's a tool. Is it the first tool that people should go to? Probably not. And there's a deeper reason behind that, which I'll go into shortly. But, it's like we've seen a rise in things like Ozempic and things like that as well. Again, it's a tool. I think there shouldn't be the amount of shame held around it that there is. I think there is a lot of again, social media slamming it, things like that. I think there should be more support in place. So I've had a number of clients that have had it done. I think, giving all the risks in terms of not just, this is what could happen during surgery, but, eating smaller portion sizes is going to mean it's harder to get in micronutrients. So every client that I know who has had it done, they are on a cocktail of different supplements for the rest of their lives.
Yep.
How it affects you mentally. Anyone who has dropped a huge amount of weight in a very short amount of time, there are numerous things that pop up in terms of the brain catching up to that amount of weight loss, in terms of the amount of loose skin and navigating that side of things. I know of practitioners that will say, before we even consider this, you need to be working with a coach and a nutritionist for 3 to 6 months. Yep. If there is no movement there, then we will look at that as an option.
Yep.
On the flip side, I also know practitioners. I had a client go in wanting a referral to a psych to deal with some eating disordered behaviours, and they were wanting to tackle the mental side of it. And the GP was like, I can just give you a script for Ozempic. And she was like, no, I want to get behind the issue.
Yep.
And the GP kept pushing and pushing and being like, but this will make it so much quicker and easier. Why don't you want the easy solution? And she's like, I want to do it this way.
It's a Band-Aid.
Yeah.
Oh, big time. Yeah, we've
So,
spoken about that.
yeah, it's sort of like, I think people need to be making informed decisions. And I think it's not that first go-to.
Yep.
I think it's one of those things where, okay, if you're trying all the things, and if, 6 months of consistently being on top of your calories, getting
Building the
movement
habits.
in, building those habits, because at the end of the day, okay, you come out on the other side, you've dropped the weight, but then how do you maintain that?
Yep.
You don't have those habits in place. And that's one of my gripes with this, is that, the support on the other end of it isn't there to the level that it should be.
Surgery and then see you later.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
some you do have check-ins, every 6 months, every year, and things like
Yeah.
that. But you're not, pair them up with a dietitian,
Yeah.
pair them up with a coach, so that they're doing the things that are gonna continue to support that weight loss. And on top of that, dropping that amount of weight so quickly, you're gonna lose muscle mass.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Your bone density is going to decrease. So we're looking at other health issues that are going to pop up.
Yeah, for sure. Protein intake.
Yep.
Big one.
Huge one. And again, low protein, but then massive drop in weight, massive decrease in muscle mass. It sort of snowballs into a whole lot of other
the energy
health
drop
issues.
would be crazy. I can imagine the fatigue after something like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, if you think, extreme calorie deficit,
Yeah.
like a lot of people come out on the other side and they're eating half a cup of food per serve. Like their meals are half a cup.
Yeah, it's a great take on it, Kat. It's something that people don't talk about on the other side.
No.
So I think it's a really good take. And for those that have gotten it done or they're getting it done, I think, taking into consideration, all of the protein intake and muscle loss and the bone loss and all the other additional supplementation that you're going to have to take in it, that you're not going to get through your nutrition.
Yeah.
Super important. Fiber as well.
Oh, yeah.
Like to be hitting your daily recommendation of 15 grams per 1,000 calories, like that's probably not going to be possible because your stomach's so small that you're not going to be able to consume much fiber.
And then we look at, the impact of low fiber diets on the body.
Yes.
And you see things like increases in cancer and things like that. So it's one of those sort of things that can snowball. And, if there's not that support on the other side, like, you will end up with nutrient deficiencies and things like that. So it's sort of, I feel like as an entire system, there needs to be more support there.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep, for sure. And working alongside a coach
Yes.
will definitely be in your best interest.
Oh, yeah. And I feel like, coaches are always like, you should get a coach. But it streamlines the process. It's,
100%.
You look at the cost of what gastric banding costs.
Yeah.
And I think the starting point cost-wise is around $15K.
Yeah.
If you're working with a coach that charges $100 a week and you put $15K into that, you're walking out of the other end of that with a whole lot of knowledge.
Yeah.
You're only going to be better off.
And undoing the work of a surgery isn't worth not going to see or getting that post support as well that they're not going to get without.
Yeah, for sure. Slightly off topic, I had a client, I finished up with him now, but he came to me with fertility issues, really low sperm count. Him and his wife were trying to conceive and they were going to go down the route of IVF.
Yes.
And he's like, look, I just want to try get my health in check, my training and my nutrition and try to get my sperm quality up so that we don't have to go down the path of IVF because that costs at least $10,000 per pop that you do. And obviously going down the coaching route for a 12, 16 week period is a lot cheaper. Anyway, we got to the end of the coaching and he went and got tested again and he sent me the results and his sperm count was through the roof.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, that's crazy.
People underestimate how much.
It tripled.
Yeah.
It was insane. And that was just from
Training, nutrition, sleep.
nutrition, sleep.
Sleep's a huge
stress. And this guy works a lot, 2 jobs, stressful. But just the training and nutrition alone helped him massively.
Oh, it's huge. People, and that's both males and females. People don't realize how impactful regular training and being on top of your nutrition is when it comes to things like fertility. And the thing is, even if you're not wanting to conceive, having a fertile body is healthy.
Yeah.
It's not just about having kids.
It sounds so hard as well. You can make health so easy. You do not. We own a gym and we're all coaches and in that space. You don't. At the end of the day, if you want to kickstart your health, you don't need to be going to the gym straight away.
Yeah.
Just need to build the habits of health by walking, doing whatever that means to you, or
sleep more, get some water,
nutrition. Start there for God's sakes. Start with your nutrition. Cook for yourself a couple of times a week. You know what I mean? Try and set that routine of a bedtime. Obviously, better to get to bed earlier, but if you go to bed at 12, wake up at 8. That works for you. That's 8 hours. You know, just to get that kick started, and then you can start thinking about, and this is, I guess, that ties back into the minimum effective dose.
Yep.
Yeah.
As
and the
well.
thing is, like, those things are free. Like, you know,
Great point.
if you
Great
say,
point.
like, most people, if you say, you know, increase your water intake, monitor your sleep, walk more, and then in terms of your nutrition, like, make sure each main meal has a serve of protein and some fruit and veg. Like, that alone would benefit so many people. It's super simple. Most of those things are free, but people just are like, I'm so overwhelmed. There's like so much information. I don't know what to do. Start with that. Start simple.
Yeah, exactly right. Baby steps, baby.
100%.
I want that on a shirt.
Yeah.
Kat, regarding nutrition, if someone was in a deficit
Yep.
and they were feeling hungry, which
Yep.
is normal,
Yep.
but they weren't too sure if it was hunger
Yep.
or if it was boredom
Yep.
or if it was food focus or if it was stress or the lack of sleep, how would you differentiate those hunger signals as a
Ooh.
coach?
Great question.
It is. And I think it's one that's not touched on a lot. Like, you know, people are like, oh, if you're in a deficit, like, you need more food volume or, you know, you shouldn't be hungry. But hunger is a normal signal from the body.
Yeah.
So I think, one, acknowledging that hunger is normal.
Mhm.
And just because you feel, this will sound so toxic, but being like, just because you feel hungry doesn't mean you have to eat the second you're hungry.
Yep.
Having things established like regular meal times is going to help with whether you're bored, whether you're hungry, whether you're, you know, emotionally eating, which is a huge one. Being self-aware. And this one I think does take a bit of practice and a bit of like stopping and reflecting as well. You know, am I just reaching for the snack out of habit? Is it I'm feeling very emotional and I can control that by grabbing something? You know, am I seeking dopamine? And that's something we see a lot with neurospicy clients,
Yeah.
where there's food is a dopamine seeking thing. So I think it's, client by client, but it's also going, okay, let's look at, if you're in a deficit, what foods are you eating? Like, are you having, you know, a cinnamon scroll for breakfast? Or this whole podcast is just like tempting you with food.
My favourite thing.
But are you having a cinnamon scroll for breakfast where it feels great at the time, but, you know, your energy is going to crash shortly after. It's not leaving you feeling full and it's, you know, relatively calorie dense. Whereas you could have, you know, a plate of, you do an egg and egg white omelette with a side of veg and, you know, bacon. I mean, most people can fit bacon into a deficit half the time.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
like a whole
Speaking
plate
of
of food.
demonized things,
I love bacon.
bacon.
Yeah.
I had bacon like most of the way through my prep.
Sounds good to me.
But you know, looking at what people are eating as a whole for a start, and then sort of being like, okay, you know, how long have we been dieting for? Is it just a psychological fatigue because you've been in a deficit for so long and you need that break? Is it, like we said, like an emotional response? Like, has something happened that's having me feeling highly stressed or highly, you know, emotional? Is it, you know, just habit? You know, it's 10 a.m. and I automatically go and grab a coffee. Like, is it that I want the coffee or is it just that it's routine now?
Yep.
So I think, asking a lot of those sort of questions, because that will give a lot of feedback around where, like, that particular thing is. And things like as simple as, okay, I've had my breakfast. It's not lunchtime yet. I'm feeling snacky. Am I bored? Am I, you know,
Reflection.
if I go for a lap around the block and then come back and I'm still feeling snacky, have the snack.
Yep.
But if I get back and I'm like, I just needed to do something and snacking was going to keep my hands busy.
Wow.
You're
That's
like,
interesting.
"I'm so
It's like
talkative."
I've never actually heard of boredom as a
Oh, yeah.
thing. Yeah, that's such a. I'm learning. I told you. I text Sam before the show
Yep.
and I was like, looks like I'm going to do a lot of learning this episode. And I am.
If you want another fun fact,
Oh, go on.
when we're feeling highly anxious, often we'll reach for crunchy foods because the crunch sensation
No way.
basically tickles our brain and releases, I can't remember if it's dopamine or serotonin. I reckon it's serotonin.
Yeah.
So when you're feeling like highly anxious, you're more likely to reach for like crackers and like things that crunch.
No way.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Does leptin do anything there?
Sorry. Fun fact.
Yeah.
about-
Yeah, you mentioned a really good word that I've tried to use a lot more recently is reflection. Because not only if you have that cinnamon scroll in the morning, you obviously come out hungrier that day.
Yeah.
But I feel like if I've just got cravings that are dominating me, and I've given
Yeah.
to the cravings, feels awesome at the time, right? It feels great, and then the next day I'm reflecting and feeling like terrible. Just feel terrible about, like, I imagine how good I'd feel if I didn't have that cinnamon scroll, if I just drank some water or things like that. And that's another thing I've tried to do is reach for water, or even if it is like sparkling water, whatever it might be, just to see if I can tie myself over.
It's funny that you say the sparkling water thing because sometimes it can literally just be a mouthfeel thing.
Yeah.
And people are like, I just want like
Yeah.
that bubbly sensation. It's not that
Yeah.
I'm hungry. I just want the mouthfeel, which sounds so weird, but it's another like stimulation thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's an interesting
Such a
one.
cool
There's a
tie
lot
between
more.
psychology and eating.
Oh yeah, and
like,
even if you delve into like the cultural side and the social side of foods, like how many times do we sit down with friends to eat and we eat so much more than what we would alone, just because one, we're distracted chatting, but two, because like it's, you know, if someone's sick, you take them food. If someone's going through a hard time, often it's food that's, you know,
Yep.
it's
or a
such
drink.
It's such
Like
a deeper thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Great point.
Yeah. Love it.
Love it.
Hungry now.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Kat, if anyone is watching this podcast right now and they're resonating with you from a coach's perspective, do you have coaching spots available?
I do.
And how can they contact you?
Yep. So I have online and face-to-face, both with myself and my subcontractor, Gabby. And they can find me on Instagram under coached_by_Kat with a K.
Lovely.
Hell yeah.
Well, thanks for coming on what was episode 11.
You.
And thank you for listening, guys. And
Thanks,
we
guys.
hope to see you on the next episode.
You.
Thank you for having me.
Bye.
Bye.